You're going to be hearing over the course of the next week, month, however long this story lasts with Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, and the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, and the National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz, and the Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller, Susie Wiles, the Chief of Staff, like just a litany, just a host of idiots talking about highly sensitive classified war plans of our assault on the Houthi rebels and further battering of Yemen. You're going to hear a lot of people talking about experts, some less expert, some with a little experience in intelligence and who have used to maintain a top secret security clearance. People like me, people others. But I think we really should be relying upon the advice and the commentary from actual real experts who spent decades of their lives dealing with this type of thing in this setting at the Pentagon. Planning wars, protecting sensitive national security secrets, the things that aren't happening right now, protecting the secrets. And Barry McCaffrey, excuse me, I think I'm getting sick, losing my voice. Barry McCaffrey's a retired 4-star Army general. He spent decades serving this country. He has many combat awards. He's got 3 Purple Hearts. I wrote them down here. 4 combat tours. And in those 4 combat tours, he has 2 Distinguished Service Crosses, 2 Silver Stars, a Legion of Merit, 4 Bronze Stars, and 3 Purple Hearts. This is a man who has seen combat, he has seen wars, he has planned wars, he has been in battle, and he has opinions about what just took place with this whole insane story of them discussing the most sensitive war planning with a journalist that they didn't know was in the room, who they put in the room, the text thread room, you know what I mean. So he was on MSNBC yesterday, really laying bare exactly how this does put us at risk, how using Signal is a compromised way to discuss classified information. And I want to lean on the experts rather than just opine myself based on my anecdotal experiences, having served in the United States Marine Corps for the short time that I did, especially compared to somebody who's a retired 4-star general. Anyway, here's Barry McCaffrey talking about this matter.
Probably the most sensitive information we have in the armed forces are pending military operations. And in this case, we're talking about the lives of Navy and Air Force flyers. By the way, we also ought to assume that Signal has been penetrated by many intelligence organizations, to include the Russians and the Iranians. So you're basically putting the lives of U.S. service people at risk. You're also displaying to the Houthis what targets are after, and so they can take measures to disperse or avoid the attack. It's a sense of arrogance. And by the way, I also think it's an attempt to avoid accountability under the Official Records Act. These people have been routinely using Signal, I'll bet you, for many other types of sensitive discussions, knowing they wouldn't be filed and available for researchers or investigators in the coming years. It's really a disgraceful situation. If that had been a bunch of majors and lieutenant commanders coordinating an attack, they'd all get fired and probably be subject to criminal prosecution.
Well, let's talk about the legal consequences, General McCaffrey. Goldberg consulted national security lawyers in the process of writing his piece, and this is what they said, quote, Walls, by coordinating a national security-related action over Signal, may have violated several provisions of the Espionage Act. All of these lawyers said that a U.S. official should not establish a Signal thread in the first place. They should go into a specifically designed space known as a sensitive compartmented information facility, or SCIF. Normally, cell phones are not permitted inside a SCIF, which suggests that as these officials were sharing information about an active military operation, they could have been moving around in public. Had they lost their phones or had they been stolen, the potential risk to national security would have been severe. Do you think there should be legal consequences here for this breach?
There needs to be an investigation to find out who's involved. I fear that what will happen is the person that established the threat in the beginning, some low-level functionary in the National Security Council, will get fired or prosecuted. But in fact, they all knew they were on a network that was not secure necessarily. They should all have known that their personal cell phones are undoubtedly being tracked and listened to by multiple foreign intelligence operations. This is just an arrogance left over from probably the political campaign. They thought it was easier to use this system. But again, I've been in and out of the Secretary of Defense office years on end. You lose your telephone in a secure environment well before you get in a protected area. And if it's a pending military operation, most of that would then be classified need to know and done only in what you term a SCIF, secure compartmental installation. Costs a fortune to make them. That's where we talk one to another, coordinating military operations.
So look, it's a good thing that he's echoing some of the same things that I've been talking about since yesterday and today in a series of different videos. But take his word over mine. Take his word over others that you're hearing talk about this, because that's the expert. This is the subject matter expert who knows, who has shielded, who has guarded, who has defended the United States of America, both literally in combat, but also our secrets, our information. If you've ever been in a SCIF, he's right. You don't bring your phone in. You don't compromise the information that you're being given by sharing it on an encrypted, but yet absolutely compromised app. These people aren't your pals that I use Signal. I'm talking to friends, especially in the wake of Donald Trump's administration and the threats therein. But I'm not planning wars. When I was in the Marine Corps, there wasn't a such thing as Signal. There wasn't text messaging when I was in. There weren't, cell phones were just coming out as a consumer item when I was in the Marine Corps. So we didn't have this as an opportunity to violate national security. We would have gone to jail. And that's what needs to happen here. Pete Hegseth needs to resign or be fired. J.D. Vance needs to be fired or resign. Mike Waltz, fired or resign. Every single person in that thread, save Jeffrey Goldberg, because here's nothing to be fired from as a government position. He didn't violate national security secrets. In fact, he was very careful in that article in The Atlantic to not publish the real crimes, the screenshots that I'm sure he took. The other element of this is from the article. Here's, again, the headline. The Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans. U.S. national security leaders included me in a group chat about upcoming military strikes in Yemen. I didn't think it could be real. Then bombs started falling. And they talk about this element of this, that in Signal, you can set your messages to disappear, to delete themselves after an hour, after days, after weeks. You could set that in there. So it makes it more secure. They just go away. And Mike Waltz, violating federal records laws, has his messages to delete. Here's what it says here. There was another potential problem. Waltz set some of the messages in the Signal group to disappear after 1 week and some after 4. That raises questions about whether the officials may have violated federal records laws. Text messages about official acts are considered records that should be preserved. The other element to this is that it's not just this particular instance that they're discussing, this particular military operation. What else? What other top secret national security secrets are they sharing via Signal? And which of those messages are being compromised and intercepted by our foreign adversaries? We don't know, because they're not being honest. They're not being earnest in their admitting what took place. I mean, Pete Hegseth looked down the barrel of the lens of a camera and said, we did not text war plans. Flatly, plainly, lying into the camera, even though the National Security Agency, or I don't think it was NSA, the Mike Waltz's office admitted, yeah, this is validated. This happened. They're just liars. Anyway, take the advice of subject matter experts. I am that on some things and more of a pontificator about others. I'd love to hear from you. You can comment below. You can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. Follow me on social media. I'm at Dollemore. That's where you can tell me how wrong I am. You can also use the voicemail line. People do. But I'm at Dollemore just about everywhere. I'd love to see you there. And I will see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.